When people picture Hoi An Vietnam, they usually imagine lanterns, the glowing streets of Old Town at night, the yellow colonial buildings, and the boats drifting down the river under colorful lantern light. And while that part of Hoi An is absolutely beautiful, what many people don't realize is that this small city offers so much more than just a quick stop on a Vietnam itinerary. You have a historic Old Town, rice paddies just outside the city, quick day trips to places like Marble Mountains and My Son Sanctuary, and only about a 15-minute bike ride away, On Bang Beach. For us, Hoi An turned out to be a place that works really well for slow travel because there's a mix of things to do and there's also plenty of space for slower days. Some days were spent exploring temples and museums in Old Town, other days were riding bikes through the rice paddies, and sometimes we were simply spending the afternoon relaxing on the beach. We just spent a month here in Hoi An, Vietnam, and today we're going to show you exactly what it cost us to slow travel here for the month. During that month, we settled into a routine, tried a lot of local foods, explored different neighborhoods, took a few day trips, and got a feel for what everyday life here actually costs. In this video, we'll break down exactly what we spent during our month in Hoi An, from where we stayed, to how we got around, to food, groceries, activities, and all of the everyday expenses that come with living somewhere for a while. We'll show you some of the things that we learned during our time here that can help you plan your own visit, whether you're coming for a few days or staying longer like we did. And at the end of the video, we'll add everything together to show you the total cost of our time here in Hoi An, along with a daily cost breakdown. But first, if you're new here, we're two traveling after one, a couple of empty nesters on a mission to explore the world and share all the tips we pick up along the way. Like and subscribe to our channel for everything slow and nomadic travel, practical tips, destination guides, and in-depth information to help you plan your next adventure. When it comes to paying for things in Hoi An, you'll want to be prepared to use a mix of cash and credit cards. Something we quickly learned here in Vietnam is that even though many places accept credit cards, you're still going to want to carry cash. In the Old Town tourist area, we found that most restaurants and many cafes accepted credit cards. Some places did charge a small credit card fee, usually somewhere between 3 and 5%, but in most cases, it only added a small amount to the bill. For us, it was usually less than $1 each time, so it wasn't a big concern. Once you move outside of the main tourist areas, though, things change a bit. Many smaller restaurants, street food stalls, markets, and local coffee shops were cash only, so we found it helpful to always carry some Vietnamese dong with us. For getting cash, we used several ATMs around the city, including TP Bank, BIDV, and Viet Bank. One thing to be aware of is that ATM fees can vary quite a bit depending on the bank and even the specific machine. For example, one of the BIDV ATMs charged between 4 and 5% of the withdrawal amount as a fee. On a 5 million dong withdrawal, that came out to about 225,000 dong in fees, plus 22,500 dong in VAT, which was roughly $9.50 US. Because we use a Charles Schwab debit card, those ATM fees are reimbursed for us. And during our time here, we received $15 back in ATM fee reimbursements. So if you're planning on spending time in Hoi An, it's definitely worth checking out what your bank charges for international ATM withdrawals or using a card that reimburses ATM fees. Before settling into our long stay in Hoi An, we actually spent one night in Da Nang after our flight from Hanoi. Our flight from Hanoi arrived late in the evening, and rather than dealing with a late-night grab ride all the way to Hoi An and checking into the hotel after midnight, we decided to stay at a small airport hotel for the night. We booked a place called Wings House, which is located directly across the street from the Da Nang airport, and it worked out really well for what we needed. The room was clean, had air conditioning, hot water, and a comfortable bed, and the staff was very friendly at check-in. There were also several coffee shops nearby, which made it easy to grab breakfast in the morning before continuing on to Hoi An. For a quick overnight stay after a late flight, it was very convenient and cost us $23.42 for the night. We've stayed a lot of places in our travel, and honestly, this has been one of our favorite hotels.
The staff has just been completely kind and really, really helpful.
For the rest of our month in Hoi An, we stayed in a small, family-owned hotel, and it ended up being one of the nicest places we've stayed during our travels. The property has about 30 rooms in total, and even though it sits right along one of the main streets in town, the rooms themselves are set further back around a central pool area, which made it surprisingly quiet at night. The location also worked out really well for us. It was just a short walk into Old Town, about 15 minutes to the beach, and there were plenty of restaurants, coffee shops, and small stores nearby, so it was very easy to get around and find whatever we needed. One of the things that really stood out to us during our stay was how incredibly kind and helpful the family and staff were. They were always available to answer questions, help with local recommendations, and even assist with booking things if we needed it. We booked what they call their high-end deluxe double room, and we'll include a link to the hotel in the description below if you'd like to check it out. The room itself was very comfortable and had a large king bed, chairs, and a small balcony, along with a refrigerator, tea kettle, coffee cups, and a television with English channels. The bathroom included a shower, and the room also had a very big bathtub, which was a nice bonus after long days of walking around Old Town. Breakfast was included every morning, and it was always fresh and delicious. They also provided daily housekeeping, fresh towels, toiletries, and bottles of water each day, which made the stay even more comfortable and easy. Another nice feature was that the hotel offered bikes and scooters for rent, which made it simple to explore the area or ride out to the beach. Also included in our accommodations total is laundry. When we first arrived, we used the hotel's wash, dry, and fold service, which cost 50,000 dong per kilogram. Our first load was 4.5 kilograms, which came to 270,000 dong, or about $10.33. After that, we found a more affordable option at a nearby 24-hour self-service laundromat, where a 10-kilogram wash cost 60,000 dong and drying cost us another 60,000 dong for 30 minutes. Once we discovered that option, we used the laundromat 4 times during our stay. Between the hotel service and the laundromat visits, we spent $32.34 in total on laundry during our month in Hoi An. For our 29 days in Hoi An, the total cost for accommodations came to $942.89. That includes our 1 night at Wings House near the Da Nang airport, our 28 nights at the TNT Villa in Hoi An, and all of our laundry for the month. For a comfortable room, daily breakfast, housekeeping, and a quiet location just a short walk from Old Town, we felt that was an incredible value. And having a place that felt welcoming and comfortable really made it easy for us to settle in and enjoy our month here in Hoi An. Getting to Hoi An was actually very straightforward. We flew from Hanoi to Da Nang on Vietjet, which is one of Vietnam's low-cost airlines. The flight itself was just over an hour, and we booked what Vietjet calls their deluxe tickets, which included seat selection, checked baggage, and a 7-kilogram carry-on allowance. For the 2 of us combined, the total cost for the flight was $117.44. And despite some of the negative things we had heard about flying Vietjet, we actually had a very good experience. Check-in was easy, our bags were within the weight limits, and while there weren't any onboard services since it's a budget airline, the seats were comfortable and the flight itself was smooth. After arriving the night before and staying across the street from the airport, we woke up refreshed the next morning, grabbed breakfast at a nearby coffee shop, and then headed to Hoi An. We used Grab to get from our Da Nang hotel at the airport to our hotel in Hoi An. The ride took about 45 minutes depending on traffic, and the cost was $13.86. Once we settled in, getting around Hoi An was easy and also quite affordable. Most days we were able to walk almost everywhere, especially when exploring Old Town. When we wanted to go to the gym, we usually took a Grab there in the morning, which cost about $1.37, and then we would walk back afterwards. Trips to the beach at An Bang typically cost between $3 and $5 each way on Grab, depending on the time of day, although sometimes we rode bikes instead. We also spent one day going to Da Nang to meet some friends and watch the Dragon Bridge show, which is a weekend event where the bridge actually breathes fire and water. For that trip, we shared a Grab with another couple, which helped keep the cost down. The ride up to Da Nang was 400,000 dong, or about $13.86, and the ride back later that evening was 320,000 dong, or about $12.21, which we split between the 2 couples. For our visit to Marble Mountains, we took a Grab, which cost $9.56 each way from Hoi An. And for our day trip to My Son Sanctuary, we decided to hire a private driver for the day instead of using Grab. That cost 700,000 dong, or $26.78 round trip, which worked out well since the Grab price was showing about 500,000 dong each way, so hiring the car actually saved us some money. And on a couple of days we rented bicycles, which cost 160,000 dong total, or $6.12, and that made it really easy to ride out toward the rice paddies or down to the beach. Another option you'll see around town are the large electric golf carts that transport groups of people around the city. These can be booked through the app called Hoi An Go, and they're especially popular for getting around Old Town in the evenings. So in total, our transportation costs, including our flight from Hanoi, our airport transfer from Da Nang, our day trips, and the various ways we got around during our stay in Hoi An, the total transportation cost for our month came out to $233.93. So far we've shown you how we got here, where we stayed, and now we're going to show you one of the best parts about spending a month in Vietnam, the food. After spending a month in Hoi An, one of the things we quickly realized is that food plays a huge role in everyday life here. There are restaurants throughout Old Town, small neighborhood eateries, and cafes tucked in down alleyways across the city. Throughout the month, we had plenty of opportunities to explore the food scene. Many of the restaurants visitors experience in Hoi An are located in the historic Old Town area, where you'll find a mix of traditional Vietnamese cooking and some modern interpretations. One of the well-known places we visited was Morning Glory, which specializes in traditional Vietnamese cuisine. When we ate there, we tried dishes like Vietnamese pancakes and banh mi, along with fresh juices and drinks. The meal came to $12.06. Another restaurant we enjoyed in Old Town was An Thoi, which is listed in the Michelin Guide. During one visit, we had bun cha, grilled oysters, and lime juice, and the flavors were excellent, and the meal came to $13.85. We also returned another evening and ordered pineapple fried rice, pork skewers, and morning glory with garlic. And because it was during Tet, there was a 20% holiday surcharge, bringing the total to $20.69. One of our favorite meals in Old Town was at a small restaurant called Lemongrass, where we ordered pork dishes and roasted eggplant cooked in a clay pot, and everything we tried was full of flavor. That dinner came to $21.06. We also had dinner at Mango Rooms, which offers a slightly more modern take on the Vietnamese cuisine. On that visit, we shared shrimp tacos, lotus flower hummus with octopus, along with drinks, and the total came to $24.04. Another memorable evening was when we joined a nomad meetup at the restaurant called M, where we met several fellow travelers. That night, we shared Vietnamese dishes, including bun cha, shrimp spring rolls, bánh xèo, and chicken curry, and the total for dinner came to $22.09. We also had dinner one night at Chop's Burger Bar, which is located right in Old Town. If you're craving a burger, this place really delivers. They make their own rolls and use high-quality beef with a variety of toppings. We saw several people order what they call the hot pot burger, which is a burger sliced in half, served on a sizzling plate with melted truffle cheese that you dip the burger into. We ordered burgers, loaded fries with pork, a beer and a Coke, and the total for dinner came to $21.94. Another great meal we had in Old Town was at Quan Tre Nguyen, a small neighborhood restaurant with simple tables and a very local feel. We ordered pork skewers, beef and banana leaf, white rose dumplings, a Coke and a tea, and the total for the meal was $15.68. And of course, one food you absolutely have to try when visiting Vietnam is banh mi. The famous Vietnamese sandwich is made with a crispy baguette and filled with meats, vegetables, and sauces.
One of the best things about Hoi An is the amazing food you're able to try. This is what Anthony Bourdain considers the best banh mi in the world.
When we stopped at Banh Mi Phuong, we ordered 2 banh mi along with a lemon juice and a sparkling water, and the total came to $4.59. But we also found ourselves returning several times to Hoi An Bread, a small family-owned shop that served excellent banh mi sandwiches along with fresh smoothies and drinks. On one visit, we ordered 2 banh mi sandwiches, a smoothie, and a Coke, and the total came to $4.21. Another local specialty you'll see in Hoi An is Khao Lao, a regional noodle dish made with thick noodles, pork, greens, and crispy rice crackers. After trying it at several places around town, our favorite version was at Khao Lao Kong Jian San, where we had 2 bowls of Khao Lao and drinks, and the total came to $7.07. And several nights we ate at the seafood stall at the end of the night market, where we ordered a full spread including lobster, shrimp, squid, grilled eggplant, bread, and drinks. Watching everything cooked right in front of us, sitting at the water's edge, made it a really memorable meal. Those seafood dinners came to $30.55 each. Since we were staying in Hoi An for nearly a month, we also spent a lot of time exploring places outside of the main Old Town area, where you can often find smaller neighborhood restaurants and some very affordable meals.
Okay, this is really one of our favorite streets. We found it by wandering away from our hotel down a few alleys. It's actually where our laundromat is, self-service laundromat. It's where Hoi An Bread, the favorite banh mi restaurant is. There's a hot pot place, a cow lao place, and we just ate at Hancock barbecue, and it was a really interesting meal.
One place we enjoyed was Restaurant Carrot, where we ordered dishes like chicken and fried noodles and morning glory and greens, along with drinks, and the total for dinner came to $7.65. Another night, we visited Tiem Lao Bo Hai Moi, a local hot pot restaurant where a large pot of broth is brought to your table and you cook the meats and vegetables right there yourself. It was a really fun dining experience and a great way to share a meal. For dinner, we ordered a full hot pot along with drinks, and the total came to $15.68. Another favorite for traditional Vietnamese meals was Lily Pancake Restaurant, where we ordered banh xeo, the crispy Vietnamese rice pancake filled with meat and vegetables, along with other local dishes. That dinner came to $13.75. Another thing we discovered while living here is that Hoi An has a surprising number of international restaurants, so occasionally we mixed things up with some non-Vietnamese meals. One place we tried was Tom's Sourdough, where we ordered a veggie protein bowl with chicken, a pesto chicken cheese melt, and 2 sparkling waters, and the total came to $13.90. We also had dinner at Sat Indian Restaurant, where we ordered butter chicken, palak paneer, garlic naan, plain naan, basmati rice, and 2 mango lassis, and the total for the meal was $30.02. Another evening, we tried Hanok Korean barbecue, where you grill the meat yourself right at the table. Dinner came to $27.05. And one night we stopped by An Chicken, which is a fast food style fried chicken restaurant, where we tried cheesy fried chicken and mozzarella corn, and that meal came to $8.59. We also spent a few days over at An Bang Beach, where there are a number of restaurants and beach clubs right along the water. One place we visited was Seoul Kitchen, where we had lunch and drinks while relaxing on the beach. The loungers there are free with a food purchase, and our meal came to $12.05. Another day we had lunch at Hidden Beach Restaurant, where we ordered lunch and drinks while sitting right on the sand, and that meal came to $10.13. One of the things we liked about the beach is that you can easily spend the whole afternoon there, grab a lounger, order some food and drinks, or just enjoy the ocean for a few hours. One thing we really appreciate about Hoi An is that you can find great food at every price point, whether you're eating in a restaurant at Old Town or grabbing a meal from a small local spot. One of the street food favorites here is rolled ice cream. This is apple custard. If you're interested in seeing more of the places we ate, we actually shared all of them on our Facebook page, Two Traveling After One, so you can check that out for more details about the restaurants and the meals we enjoyed during our time here. One thing you'll quickly notice about Vietnam is just how big coffee culture is. Cafes are everywhere, and many of them serve drinks that you don't typically see in other places. Our favorite cafe in Hoi An was Hoi An Coffee Hub. Tucked down a small alley in Old Town, the staff were incredibly friendly, and we tried drinks like egg coffee, salted matcha, and salted strawberry cream drinks. That visit came to $6.50. We also visited Moi Coffee quite a bit, which was located right across the street from our hotel. Their creme brulee iced coffee and matcha drinks quickly became a regular stop for us. Those drinks typically cost us $3.67. Another cafe we enjoyed was November 11th Coffee. We had salted matcha and salted coffee, which came to $3.25. We also visited Try Long Coffee, where we tried drinks like mango matcha lattes, durian coffee, and a mango yogurt sticky rice, and that visit came to $7.19. We frequented Thai Coffee, which was near the laundromat, where we ordered condensed milk coffee and salted matcha for $3.25. We tried Highlands Coffee, a popular Vietnamese coffee chain, where we had matcha and Vietnamese coffee for $4.34. And one afternoon we went to Buttercup, where we had a smoothie bowl and fresh drinks, which came to $8.40. We also tried a fun little snack at Ka Hoi An, a croissant taiyaki, which is a pressed croissant shaped like a fish and filled with custard. These were $1.91 each. Coffee in Hoi An was generally very affordable, although we did stop at Starbucks once, where a single matcha latte cost $4.48, noticeably more than most of the local cafes. Between the restaurants in Old Town, the local neighborhood eateries, street food, and all the cafes we visited, we had an incredible time exploring the food scene in Hoi An. The total amount we spent on food and drinks during our month here came to $703.82. Next, we'll take a look at another category that comes up quite a bit when you're slow traveling somewhere for a month: groceries. Even though we ate out quite a bit during our time in Hoi An, we still made a number of small grocery runs throughout the month. These were mostly for drinks, snacks, and a few convenience items that we picked up at small markets and neighborhood stores. One place we visited several times was Moon Milk Market, which was a convenient little shop near Old Town where we picked up things like drinks, chips, and snacks. We also stopped by a few mini marts and local convenience stores throughout the month. And while wandering through Hoi An Market, we picked up a few local items like dried mango to snack on. And at one point, we also picked up some Vietnamese coffee packets from a shop called Central Market, which is a small store that sells clothing but also local coffee. Groceries in Hoi An were generally very affordable, especially when buying drinks and snacks from smaller local shops. The total amount we spent on groceries during our time in Hoi An came to $56.65. This is one of the reasons that we love slow travel. You start to feel like you're living somewhere and not just visiting. One of the things we really enjoyed about spending a full month in Hoi An is that there's a huge range of things to do, from historic sites and cultural attractions to beaches, countryside bike rides, festivals, and nearby day trips. And because we were here for a month, we had plenty of time to experience a little bit of everything. This is the Old Town section of Hoi An. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. At night, this entire place lights up with lanterns and boat rides, and during the day, there's plenty of shopping opportunities, places to eat, and it's just a beautiful area to explore. There's photo opportunities around every corner, and all of these buildings are historically protected behind me. Some of our favorite moments were actually the simple everyday experiences, like walking through the streets of Old Town and exploring the alleyways and smaller streets that branch off from the main roads. Early in the morning and later in the evening, the city has a completely different atmosphere, and it's a great time to wander and take in the historic architecture. Along the river in Old Town, you'll often see lantern boats moving slowly along the water, and in the evenings, the reflections of the lanterns on the river create one of the most recognizable scenes in Hoi An. While we were here, we were also lucky enough to experience the Full Moon Lantern Festival, when Old Town becomes especially lively with lantern boats on the river and people placing floating lanterns in the water. And during the Tet holiday celebrations, we had a chance to watch some incredible fireworks from the rooftop of the Royal Hotel, known as the Deck, which has an elevated view over the city. Between the lanterns, the crowds celebrating in Old Town, and the fireworks launching from several directions across the city, it really was a memorable night. Another thing we enjoyed during our stay was exploring the countryside surrounding Hoi An. Just a short distance from the historic center, you'll find quiet roads running through rice paddies and small quiet neighborhoods, and biking through this area was one of the most peaceful ways to explore the region. These rides gave us a chance to see a completely different side of Hoi An and everyday life outside of the main tourist areas. It was also during moments like these, just wandering around and talking with locals, that we met some really interesting people. One afternoon, while we were wandering through the small alleyways of Old Town, an elderly man stepped out of his doorway and called to us with a smile. "I think you're going the wrong way." He explained the alley ended just ahead, and we stopped to chat and introduced ourselves, and that's when the conversation took a turn we never expected. His name was Lê Quen, and he told us he had been one of the original Easy Riders in Vietnam. Back in the early 1990s, when Vietnam was only beginning to welcome international travelers again, he was part of a small group of guides taking visitors to the countryside by motorbike. He invited us into his home and showed us something incredible: 3 thick journals filled with handwritten messages from travelers who rode with him, dating back from the early 1990s through 2012. Page after page of memories from people around the world, mountain roads, coffee plantations, remote villages, and adventures across Vietnam. He also showed us his motorbike and the maps of the routes he used to ride through the mountains. Today he's in his mid to late 80s, but the pride he still feels in those journeys was unmistakable. He even told us with a quiet smile that if someone asked, he might still take them out for a ride. Moments like this are exactly why we slow travel. Sometimes you set out looking for one story, and another one finds you instead. Another great thing to do in Hoi An is to come out to An Bang or Hidden Beach. 2 different areas. Both have a lot of beach clubs and loungers. Some of the loungers are free, like the ones here, and there's a few nice restaurants where you could have food. Or there's also a few that will rent chairs for 50,000 dong, 100,000 dong per day, and a lot of them give that back to you if you make a food purchase. It's a great way to spend a day. It's a beautiful beach. The water's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and we've had quite a few days, nice relaxing days out here. An Bang Beach is about a 15-minute bike ride from Old Town and has a relaxed beach town atmosphere with restaurants and cafes along the sand. We spent several days there during our stay. One place we visited multiple times was Seoul Kitchen, where beach loungers are free as long as you order food and drinks. On one visit, they were completely full, so we rented loungers next door for 50,000 dong, which is only a couple of dollars. We also spent time at Hidden Beach, another area nearby where we were able to use beach loungers for free while enjoying a beach day, and then a nomad meetup for lunch and drinks at Hidden Beach Restaurant. These beach days were a great contrast to the busy streets of Old Town and one of the reasons why Hoi An works so well for a longer stay. Since Da Nang is only about 45 minutes away, we took our trip here during our stay. One afternoon, we walked along Mai Key Beach, which is a long stretch of sand lined with cafes and restaurants. We also met up with friends at Paradise Beach Bar for drinks before heading to dinner at Riverside Terrace, a rooftop Italian restaurant overlooking the river. From there, we were able to watch the Dragon Bridge show, where the bridge lights up and breathes both fire and water during the weekend performance. One thing to know if you plan to see it, be careful where you stand, because when the dragon sprays water, the crowd nearby can definitely get soaked. To visit many of the historic buildings in Old Town, you need to purchase a Hoi An Cultural Heritage ticket. The ticket costs 120,000 dong each and allows you to visit 5 historical sites from a list that includes temples, historic houses, and museums. During our stay, we purchased 2 of these tickets and used them to visit several locations, including the Japanese covered bridge, historic merchant houses, and museums like the Herbal Medicine Museum and the Hoi An Museum. The Hoi An Museum was particularly interesting because it explains the history of Hoi An as an important trading port connecting Vietnam with merchants from China, Japan, and Europe, and the war history here. While learning about that history, we also discovered information about the Hoi An prison, which once stood nearby. After leaving the museum, we went looking for the site ourselves and eventually found what is now known as the Hoi An Prison Relic, a place that carries a powerful reminder of the city's more difficult history. Just outside of Hoi An is the Mai Song Sanctuary. These Cham temple ruins date back over 1,000 years. One of the most impressive day trips we took from Hoi An was visiting Mai Song Sanctuary, an ancient temple complex located about an hour outside the city. Entrance to Mai Song costs 150,000 dong per person, which includes access to the archaeological site. The site has often been compared to Angkor Wat, and once we arrived, it was easy to see why. After entering through the main gate, you first pass through a small museum explaining the Cham civilization, which originally built the temples. And from there, visitors board a small electric shuttle that brings you further into the complex, where a walking path loops through the different groups of ruins. Some of the temples were originally restored by the French, later damaged during the Vietnam War, and more recently restored with assistance from India. Today, visitors can walk through many of the temple structures and get very close to the ruins, which makes it a really fascinating place to explore. We're at Marble Mountains. There's a lot to explore here. There's several caves, pagodas. There's a lot of history to this area. We just took the elevator up after exploring the first cave at the entrance, and now we're going to head further up and explore the rest of the mountains. Another place we visited was Marble Mountains, a large complex of caves, temples, and pagodas built into a group of marble mountains just outside of Da Nang. We ended up spending about 5 hours exploring the area, and it was much larger than we expected. Before entering the main complex, there's actually another large cave near the entrance, which has its own ticket and costs 20,000 dong per person. The main entrance to Marble Mountains costs 40,000 dongs per person, and there is also the option to take an elevator up to the top of the mountain, which costs 15,000 dong each way. We chose to take the elevator up, which was definitely helpful because even after reaching the top, there is still quite a bit of walking and climbing involved. Inside the caves, you'll find temples, shrines, and dramatic openings in the rock where sunlight streams down from above, creating some incredible scenes. The stone stairways are uneven and slippery in places, but the caves and temples built into the mountain make it a really unique place to visit. Another highlight during our time in Hoi An was attending the Tay Dar Bamboo Circus at the Hoi An Loon Center. Tickets for the show were $88 for the 2 of us, for mid-range seats in the center back of the theater. The performance combines acrobatic acts, storytelling, music, and choreography, all using bamboo structures and props. One thing to know before attending is that photos and videos are not allowed during the performance, so we can't show you what an incredible show it was to watch. The total amount we spent on entertainment and activities during our month in Hoi An was $115.80. which included entrance fees and was largely for bamboo circus tickets. For our cell phone and internet while we were in Hoi An, we continued using the local Viettel SIM plan that we purchased earlier in Hanoi. The plan covered 3 months of service, so for this video, we're only including the portion that applied to the month we spent in Hoi An. That portion of the plan came to $6.99 for both of us for 6 gigs of data per day. The coverage throughout Hoi An was excellent, and we had strong data service everywhere we went, including Old Town, the beach areas, and even when traveling outside the city. At our hotel, Wi-Fi was also included with our stay, and the connection was strong and reliable throughout the property. Between the hotel Wi-Fi and the Viettel data plan, staying connected during our month in Hoi An was very easy. The total we spent on cell phone and Wi-Fi during our month in Hoi An came to $6.99. Hoi An is also a great place for shopping, especially in the Old Town area, where you'll find streets lined with small shops selling everything from clothing and souvenirs to artwork and colorful lanterns that the city is famous for. Lanterns in particular are one of the most recognizable symbols of Hoi An, and you'll see them hanging outside the shops and restaurants all throughout the historic district. There are also countless stalls selling handmade goods, clothing, leather items, jewelry, and small souvenirs, so it's easy to pick up a few things while exploring the area. One purchase that actually turned into a bit of a story was a wallet that Dan picked up while we were here. About 15 years ago, Dan received a Gucci wallet for Father's Day, and he carried it for years until it finally started to fall apart. When we spent a month in Florence, Italy, we even stopped at the Gucci flagship store, hoping to replace it with the same style, a simple card holder, but surprisingly, they weren't able to get it for us. So when Dan spotted a Gucci-style wallet here in Hoi An for 150,000 dong, or $5.74, he decided it was finally time to replace the old one. At this point in our lives, we've realized that we don't really feel the need to buy the real luxury brand versions of things anymore. What matters more to us now are the experience that we have while traveling and the memories that we make along the way. We also picked up a few smaller items during the month, including a wooden bracelet, a keychain for our daughter, and a few stickers. And like most travelers, we also had a couple practical replacements during the trip. At one point, my phone charging cord stopped working, so we picked up a new one for $7.65. And we also replaced Dan's iPhone case in an electronics store for $17.30 while we were there. The total amount we spent on shopping during our month in Hoi An came to $41.40. Since we were staying in Hoi An for a month, we also had a few health and wellness expenses during our time here. One of the first things we did after arriving was sign up for a local gym membership so we could keep up with our workouts while traveling. The gym cost 600,000 dong per person for the month, so for the two of us, the total came to $47.51. Another purchase during our stay was new eyeglasses. I had actually completed an eye exam earlier in Hanoi, but we didn't have enough time there to get the glasses made before leaving. After arriving in Hoi An, we asked our hotel for a recommendation, and they suggested Viet Han Optical, which is where we went. I picked out a new frame, and they also updated my previous frame with my new prescription, giving me 2 new pairs of glasses. Because the prescription was more complex, the lenses had to be sent out to be made, but the shop communicated with us through WhatsApp, and the entire process was very smooth and easy. About a week later, my glasses were ready for pickup. The total cost for both pairs of prescription glasses came to $180.33. During the month, we also picked up a few small items from a local pharmacy, including things like toothpaste, mouthwash, sunscreen, antihistamines, and a razor. The total amount we spent on health and wellness during our month in Hoi An came to $245.10. Next, we'll bring everything together and show you exactly what a month in Hoi An cost us, broken down category by category. So now that we've walked through all of the categories, let's put everything together and show you exactly what we spent during our month here in Hoi An. As always, we track every expense when we travel, so these numbers include everything we spent during the month, from accommodations and transportation to food, activities, and everyday purchases. Let's break it down category by category. For accommodations, including our night near the Da Nang airport and our stay at TNT Villa and all of our laundry during the month, we spent $942.89. For transportation, including our flight from Hanoi, bike rentals, Grab rides around Hoi An, our trip to Marble Mountains, our trip to Mai Song, and travel to Da Nang, we spent $233.93. For food and drinks, which includes all restaurants, street food, cafes, and coffee we enjoyed throughout the month, we spent $703.82. For groceries, including snacks, drinks, and other items from local markets and convenience stores, we spent $56.65. For entertainment and activities, including the Bamboo Circus, historic site tickets, and interest fees for places like My Song and Marble Mountains, we spent $115.80. For cell phone and Wi-Fi, we spent $6.99. For shopping, including souvenirs and a few small items we picked up during the month, we spent $41.40. For health and wellness, including our gym membership, Megan's eyeglasses, and a few pharmacy items, we spent $245.10. That brings our total cost for the month in Hoi An to $2,346.58, which works out to $78.22 per day, or $39.11 per person per day. Now, before we wrap this up, we want to add one more layer of transparency. In addition to the travel spending we just showed you, we also have our fixed monthly expenses that follow us wherever we go as full-time travelers. These include things like international health insurance, our US cell phone plans, streaming services, and our credit card annual fees. For 2026, those fixed monthly expenses total $907.36 per month, or $29.83 per day. If you'd like a full breakdown of exactly what makes up that number, we explain it in our detailed video, Can You Afford Full-Time Travel?, which we'll link below. So for the month in Hoi An, those fixed costs added $894.90, which brings our total cost for the month, including our fixed nomad expenses, to $3,241.48. That works out to $108.05 per day for 2 people, or $54.03 per person per day. That's our real all-in number for a month in Hoi An, Vietnam, including both our travel and spending and our ongoing life expenses as full-time nomads. That also puts us well below our target travel budget of $164.38 per day, or $82.19 per person per day, which we're always aiming to stay under when we travel. And overall, we felt like Hoi An offered incredible value for a month of slow travel. Before we wrap it up, we wanted to share a few tips for future travelers based on our experience spending a month here in Hoi An. Over that time, we learned a few things about getting around, avoiding crowds, finding great food, and making the most of your time here. So if you're planning a visit, hopefully these tips will help make your trip even better. First, Hoi An is a great place to slow travel. There's a really nice balance between relaxing days and days where there's plenty to do. You have Old Town, nearby beaches, bike rides through rice paddies, and easy day trips to places like Marble Mountains, My Song Sanctuary, and Da Nang. There's also shows like Bamboo Circus and the Memory Show, so it's a destination where you can easily fill your time without feeling rushed. One thing to keep in mind is that Old Town can get very crowded, especially on weekends and during holidays. If you visit during Tet or the monthly Lantern Festival, expect significantly larger crowds and heavier traffic in the historic district. When it comes to getting around, we found Grab to be very reliable, but during busy periods, you may occasionally have rides canceled or experience longer wait times. One trick that helped us was selecting all available ride types in the Grab app, which increases your chances of getting a driver, although the price may vary depending on demand. You can also download the Hoi An Go app, which lets you book the larger electric golf carts that transport people around the historic district. The best place to catch a Grab in Old Town is actually on the small island near the bridge where cars are allowed to cross. Drivers tend to wait there, and if they see you holding your phone, they may approach you and try to negotiate a ride off app. We recommend just declining and placing the ride request through Grab instead. If you're visiting during Tet, be prepared for possible surcharges. We noticed several restaurants and Grab rides adding 15 to 30% to the bill during that week. It didn't happen everywhere, but it's something to be aware of before you order. Like with many popular tourist destinations, it's also wise to stay aware of your surroundings, especially in the crowded areas. We noticed pickpockets working in teams around some of the busiest parts of Old Town and along the bridges, often blending in with the tourists. Another helpful tip is to use the side alleys when entering Old Town. The main entrance near the lake can get extremely crowded, and there are several small residential alleyways that connect to Old Town from the surrounding streets. These routes are safe and often much quieter, and a great way to really discover Hoi An. When it comes to food, don't limit yourself to the restaurants in Old Town. There are some great restaurants there, but they can also be on the pricier side. We found some excellent food stalls and local restaurants outside of the main tourist area, often at much lower prices. And also keep in mind that Google reviews can sometimes be misleading here. Many restaurants offer free drinks or small incentives in exchange for reviews, which is why you'll often see many places with ratings around 4.9 stars. If you're shopping in the markets or souvenir stalls, negotiating prices is very common. In most cases, the initial price may be roughly double what the vendor is willing to accept, so it's normal to start around half the asking price and negotiate from there. You'll want to carry cash since many food stalls, markets, and smaller restaurants are cash only. Some places do accept credit cards, but we occasionally saw credit card fees ranging from 3 to 5%. One place we would definitely recommend visiting is the rooftop at the Royal Hotel. It's one of the best aerial views over Hoi An and the river. Drinks and food are at hotel prices, but you can actually take the elevator to the 8th floor and walk to the left, go up the stairs to the pool deck, and enjoy the view, even if you don't order anything. And finally, don't miss An Bang Beach. It's only about 15 minutes from Old Town by bike, and there's a bike lane most of the way. The area has a small beach town feel with lots of cafes, restaurants, and places to spend a relaxing afternoon by the ocean. Overall, Hoi An turned out to be one of our favorite places in Vietnam to slow travel, and it's definitely someplace we would return to again. For us, the cost we shared in this video felt like an incredible value for everything this destination has to offer. During the month, we enjoyed great food, comfortable accommodations, beautiful beaches, historic sites, and plenty of time wandering through Old Town and the surrounding countryside. Hoi An is one of those places where slow travel works really well because the longer you stay, the more you begin to discover, from small cafes tucked down alleyways to quiet bike rides to the rice paddies. What we really liked was the balance of experiences. There are plenty of things to do, like exploring Old Town, visiting Marble Mountains, taking a trip to My Song Sanctuary, catching shows like the Bamboo Circus, or even heading up to Da Nang for the day. There are also plenty of opportunities for slower days, whether that's relaxing at the beach, spending time by the pool, or just wandering around town without a plan. One of the things that made the month especially memorable were the people we met along the way, from local residents who shared their stories and welcomed us into their community to other slow travel nomads who have since become friends. These connections are what really make a place feel like more than just a stop on the map. Compared to Hanoi, where we had just come from, Hoi An definitely feels a bit more tourist focused, but we've still found it to be a nice balance between local life and visitor experiences. From a budget perspective, we were actually surprised by how affordable Hoi An turned out to be. Because it's such a popular destination, we expected it to be more expensive than Hanoi, but it ended up offering a really strong value for a place with this much to see and do. If you're considering spending time here, Hoi An is definitely a place where you can live very comfortably without spending a lot of money. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of our slow travel adventures around the world, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to see more from our time here in Vietnam, check out our other videos where we share the places we visited, the food we tried, and what it's really like living in these destinations for a month at a time. Thanks for following along with us, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy travels!